Let's read the problem, understand the problem, and write an equation that summarizes the situation proposed by the problem. 1/2 of a number, so 1/2 of, what's the number? Let's call it A. 1/2 of a number increased by 3 plus 3 is, which means equals 5 less, meaning minus 5. 5 less than what? Than 2/3 of the number. 2/3 times A. So we want to know what is the number, even though it's not written in the question, it's implicit to the problem. So let's try to find the value of A. The first thing we're going to do is try to get the A's together in the same side of the equation. So let's, for example, subtract by 1/2 of A to both sides of the equation in order to have that 3 equals 2/3 of A minus 5 minus 1/2 of A. Now, let's group together the terms on the right side that are a function of A. So 3 equals 2/3 of A minus 1/2 of A minus 5. Now, we can see that we can factor out the A on the right side so as to have 3 equals 2/3 minus 1/2 everything times A minus 5. And now the question is, what is 2/3 minus 1/2? Now, it is very important to remember the following. In order to add or subtract fractions that do not have the same denominator, such as these two fractions, we have to convert the fractions in order for them to have the same denominator. So the fraction 2/3, what we're going to say is that 2/3 is equal to 2/3 times 1, of course, and 2/3 times 1 is the same as 2/3 times 2/2. Why did I choose 2? Because I could have chosen 6 or 7 or 354 over 354. It's still equal to 1. I chose 2 because 2 is the denominator of the second fraction. So it's going to be 2/3 times 2/2, which is 2 times 2, over 3 times 2, which is 4/6, which means that 2/3 is actually equal to 4/6. Now, let's do the same thing with the second fraction, 1/2. 1/2 is the same thing as 1/2 times 1, which is the same thing as 1/2 times, now which number I'm going to choose? I'm going to choose number 3 times 3/3, because 3/3 is still equal to 1. So it's 1 times 3 over 2 times 3, which is 3/6. So 1/2 is the same thing as 3/6. So now 2/3 minus 1/2, which is what we want to know, is exactly the same thing as doing 4/6, because 4/6 is the same thing as 2/3, minus 3/6, because 3/6 is the same thing as 1/2. So it's now we can subtract both numerators together so as to have 5 minus 3/6 is equal to 1/6. And therefore, we have the following. We have that 3 equals 1/6 times A minus 5. Amazing. Now let's add 5 to both sides of the equation in order to have that 3 plus 5 equals 1/6 of A. So 8 equals 1/6 times A. And now let's multiply both sides of the equation by 6 so as to have 8 times 6 equals 8. So 48 equals A. So A equals 48, and that is the answer to the problem.